Let's talk about market performance, Adegboyega. I mean, it seems like investors no longer taking profits. We're having a strong start to the week.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty much like that. But I think we're also at that time of the year where you're going to have the index stuttering. I'm not too sure we can get to the 30,000 mark, which we thought will happen at the end of this year. But clearly, positions have been taking. If you look at what happened on the market today, a significant amount of the volumes traded with respect to First Bank and Zenith indicates that investors are still taking positions in anticipation of year-end corporate action.
Right, Berger. And I just want to ask, you said that the market is stuttering. Suddenly we might not hit that 30,000 mark. Any changes to some of those forecasts in terms of year-to-date performance of the NSE Uche index? Suddenly everybody thought we'll close at around 32%. What's your take? We'll close the year. That means we'll close the end of Q4 at around 32%.
Well, yes, I see the market starting to stutter. I think a lot of caution is going to come into place, and a lot of portfolio managers are going to want to take their positions now and sort of defend the positions they're in. Of course, there'll be no profit taken because of that, and I think we just may not see the rate of growth which we saw earlier in the year happening at this time of the year. We did have some dips last week. It's been up 2 days this week. I'm not too certain what we're going to have rest of the week, but I think it will still be a strong showing year to date at the end of it all.
Well, still, Berger, I mean, we're, like you said, up 2 days, the first 2 days of the week so far. What do you think is driving sentiment? And do you think Q3 results, investors are still playing the market based on the Q3 results, great Q3 results, which we've seen so far? What's your take on what's driving sentiment?
Well, I wouldn't talk about sentiments here, more in terms of fundamentals. If you look at the breweries and the fast-moving consumer goods, and of course the cement sector early on in the year, you'll notice that certain sectors, including the financial services, mind you, have contributed significantly to the performance we've had year to date. And perhaps of particular note is the FMCG and the breweries. Much as you'll want to place the breweries as a separate sector, but you just have to admit that the products there are actually consumer goods and they're fast moving too. We're getting to the end of the year where traditionally a lot of sales are made because of the festive seasons coming up. So they have a lot to look out for in terms of revenue. That's for the breweries. GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, is an interesting company because it tends to be associated with pharmaceuticals, but their key products are actually FMCG products. You've got the Lucozade Boost and the bottled water areas and the energy drinks, of course. So they're clearly playing the fast-moving consumer goods group.
And it's interesting. You think that the FMCG sector is sort of where we're going to see investors going towards as we wind up Q4. What's your take of the fact that, I mean, some people are saying the banking sector, investors are certainly playing the market looking at the companies that will be paying dividends, and we're going to see some corporate action coming out of at the end of Q4. Many feel it is the banking sector. What is your view?
Well, the banking sector, certainly, you're not going to post those sort of quarterly profits and not reward the shareholders in terms of confidence, in terms of support for the banks during the year. So we will certainly see some interesting corporate actions coming from financial institutions at the end of this year. But it's not all to the financial institutions or the financial services. We will also see the FMCG companies. They've always been able to adjust price, and therefore revenue goes up depending on how demand and supply works. And their inflation-adjusted prices would always trickle down to the bottom line in terms of returns.
Right. Well, but Adegboyega, let's talk about the cement sector. I mean, mixed results coming out of that sector. We saw Dangote Cement Q3 numbers came out slightly subdued. Ashaka Cement, we saw sales down. What is your outlook then for that particular sector? And I ask because Dangote Cement has a lot of weighting on our index, and certainly its performance also determines what direction our index goes, the Uche index.
Yeah, I think you just have to look at the cement sector in its entirety for the whole year. Q3 is typically a slowdown period for them. You will know that with the rainy season here, construction tends to slow down. And with the security situation in the north, you're probably not having too much in terms of use for cement up there. And until the rains clear and we get into the dry season again, you won't have too much activity in the sector and not too much of a demand for cement. So yes, it's not surprising that we have subdued figures coming out of that sector. But the general outlook as a whole will still be a significant growth on the previous year.